Halloween isn't the only holiday that players can enjoy themselves with a spot of spooky gaming, as horror games are to be enjoyed no matter what the season. Even when players are sheltering from the cold weather, nothing quite warms the soul with more than jumping into a new horror game. Yes, I know that sounds silly, but hey, that's what us horror gamers love. Steam is a brilliant place filled with some of the year's best horror games, though sometimes players are not only looking for well-known titles, but also those that could be considered indie. Hey there everyone, and welcome to Game Rant. My name is Geoffrey. In this video, I'll be showcasing 10 delightfully spooky horror games that you should check out on Steam if you consider yourself a horror hound. Let's hop into the list. Number 10, Devour. While horror games are commonly something that is experienced alone, in recent years, Steam has seen an increase in multiplayer spooky titles such as Devour. In this game, players control cultists as they attempt to complete a ritual to rid themselves of a monster that lurks around every corner. It's important for players to work as a team if they hope to beat the possessed cultist who is at the core of a ritual gone wrong. With plenty of maps to choose from, each with a unique mechanic, Devour is a great horror game for those on PC. With more being added to the game regularly and a VR mode to put players directly into the scares, Devour shows a lot of promise and the chance of moving even higher on the list as time goes on. Number 9, Scarlet Hollow. Visual novels can be horrifying, as proven by Scarlet Hollow, which features an incredible and eerie art style. Returning to the cold town the player's family built to take part in the funeral of their aunt, the player will learn that it has plenty of mysteries to uncover. The player may only need to survive a week in this creepy place, but every dialogue option and choice they make will determine how well that goal plays out. Scarlet Hollow plans to be 7 chapters long, with the first 4 already released. Number 8, Outlast. Another staple of the horror genre has to be Outlast, and I guess Outlast 2. This survival horror game shocked players when it was first released, and continues to be played by many players who have a deep love for the genre. Exploring an asylum that has been taken over by its residents with nothing but a camera to record the horrors makes Outlast a tense, atmospheric title. Players are likely to encounter some gory scenes, as well as the horrifying people that created them, while they sneak around the facility to find some terrifying answers. Yeah, you've been warned, it's a scary game. Number 7, Doki Literature Club. Don't be fooled by the extremely cutesy art style of Doki Literature Club. This adorable game, on the surface, that tricks players into thinking they are just writing poetry reveals a much darker theme underneath. Doki Literature Club might not have players exploring a haunted school, but each part of the dialogue in this visual novel marks its place well as one of the best horror games on Steam. The game will start to glitch and horrid things will begin to happen as the player attempts to please the characters that are also part of this club. Number 6, The Forest. There are plenty of survival horror games that force players to test their luck in a forest environment. However, few could ever compete with The Forest, originally released on Steam in 2018. Players were tasked with finding where their son had been taken, all while defending against various cannibals and abominations that live on this island. Part of the horror factor in The Forest is exploring the island to find out what had happened to the other people who were on the flight that crashed, or sitting in the dark hoping that no monsters appear. Don't worry, they will though. This is exactly why The Forest is one of the best horror games on Steam. Number 5, Inscryption. Similar to other genres, horror has also been combined with various other genres to create a unique experience. With Inscryption, players are tasked with building the perfect deck of cards in the hope of beating various opponents on a game board while attempting to escape from the game they are forced to play. The title goes deeper than Leshy's Cabin, as players reveal darker secrets that are trapped both within the cards and the creepy story that is uncovered as they advance deeper into this game. One thing that doesn't change that seals Inscryption as one of the best horror games is the ability to step away from the game to explore the world around them while still remaining trapped. Number 4, Lethal Company. Lethal Company recently released on Steam in October 2023, and since this release it has definitely become viral. The game makes the player and their friends members of a company that scavenges for scrap on abandoned moons. While this may at first sound a bit too simple, while exploring these moons for scrap, players are likely to encounter horrid alien abominations who are watching their every single move. During the daytime, this is fine, but all sorts of dangers are sure to emerge when the night arrives. Now, the game is still in early access at the time of making this video, which means plenty more are likely to be added to this co-op horror adventure as time goes on. Number 3, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Ah yes, this one is definitely a classic. Released way back in 2010, Amnesia: The Dark Descent was the first Amnesia title to be released from the horror franchise, and it has continued to impress players over the years. As the name of the survival horror game suggests, players descend into a living nightmare filled with complex puzzles and horrifying monsters. Many years later, Amnesia: The Dark Descent continues to be a staple horror game players can experience through Steam, with many of the future games also released on PC. While a promising title that has since been seen itself as part of a successful franchise, Amnesia: The Dark Descent continues to be a much-loved title. Number 2, Resident Evil 2 Remake. Unsurprisingly, the Resident Evil franchise also makes its way as one of the best horror games that players can actually play on Steam. While the entire franchise can be enjoyed on PC, by far the greatest of the bunch must be Resident Evil 2, where players take control of Leon or Claire. Due to this also being the remake of the classic horror, players can expect even better graphics that make for a more horrifying survival horror experience. With the remake bringing the series' horror to PC players, it's the perfect getaway to the rest of the Resident Evil franchise for Steam users. Number 1, Phasmophobia. By far, one of the greatest horror games that can be played on Steam is, of course, Phasmophobia. This is not only a scary experience, but also a title that can be enjoyed with a group of friends. It's the player's job to venture into various locations to track a ghost and find out which one it is. To figure out what ghost it is, players will need to collect evidence, all while experiencing multiple paranormal events. Players can even increase the difficulty, which will make these ghostly experiences much more dangerous as the ghost, or demon, will hunt the player. Even with no official Metacritic score, players on Steam have been incredibly impressed with Phasmophobia, and with the game coming to consoles, even more players will get to experience the horror in no time at all. And there we have it, everyone, 10 spooky, frightening horror games on Steam that should definitely satiate your horror desires. Thank you so much for watching this video from Game Rant. Be sure to check out all sorts of other top-notch gaming content, including more lists, news, reviews, guides, originals, and so much more right here on Game Rant. Have a truly wonderful and happy day, everyone. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.